Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes, rescue operations in the Silkyara collapsed tunnel in India's Uttarakhand succeed. All 41 trapped workers brought out safely one by one. Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds the rescue operations. Palestinians and Israelis welcome extension of truce. More hostages and prisoners exchanged. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak cancels his Athens meet with his Greek counterpart over the return of the Parthenon marbles row. And the curtains come down on the 54th International Film Festival of India. Hollywood legend Michael Douglas honoured with the Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award.
इंडिया मैं आपसे बहुत प्यार करता हूँ That's amazing.
Well, finally, good news came on Tuesday evening from Uttarakhand in the Indian state of Uttarakhand. All 41 workers who were trapped inside the collapsed Silkyara tunnel since the last 17 days in Uttarakhand district were evacuated safely on Tuesday. The rescued workers and their family members expressed their gratitude to the central and state governments for the safe rescue operations. This rescue operation took a total of 17 days. The rescue operation gained momentum with the state's Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami's visit to the site, and with this, both state and central government agencies joined the operations. However, during this period, the work got delayed as the auger machine encountered obstacles time and again. Later, a new US-made auger machine was flown into Uttarakhand from New Delhi by an Indian Air Force aircraft. However, the American auger drilling machine hit a metal girder on Friday evening, causing another delay. Various government agencies were mobilized for this operation. On the 27th of November, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, Dr. P.K. Mishra, visited Silkyara rescue operation site. Dr. Mishra also interacted with trapped workers through the communication line and assured them of their safe rescue. Uttarakhand Chief Minister addressed the media persons after the successful rescue operations.
हमारे सभी भाई 16 दिनों से भी लगातार अंदर संघर्ष कर रहे थे और पूरा देश उनके लिए बाहर संघर्ष कर रहा था। इस पूरे अभियान में लगे हुए सभी कर्मचारियों को, सभी कार्मिकों को, सभी विशेषज्ञों को, सभी हमारे वैज्ञानिकों को, सभी भारत सरकार की संस्थाओं को और एक एक व्यक्ति जो मीडिया से भी थे, उन समेत मैं सबका धन्यवाद करता हूं।
And as the news spread about the rescue of the 41 trapped workers, congratulatory messages started pouring in. India's President Draupadi Murmu quoted and posted on X, and I quote, "I feel relieved and happy to learn that all the workers trapped in a tunnel in Uttarakhand have been rescued. Their travails over 17 days as the rescue effort met with obstacles have been a testament of human endurance. The nation salutes their resilience and remains grateful to them for building critical infrastructure, even at great personal risk, far away from their homes." I congratulate the teams and all experts who have acted with incredible grit and determination to perform one of the most difficult rescue missions in history. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar also tweeted and said, and I quote, "Greatly pleased to know about the successful rescue of all workers trapped in Uttarakhand's tunnel. Their 17-day ordeal showcased human endurance, unmatched resilience, and indomitable faith in the nation's commitment to stand by them. Congratulations to the dedicated teams and the experts for executing this challenging rescue mission with grit and determination. Wishing all the workers a healthy and happy life ahead." And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also hailed the success of the rescue operations at Uttarakhand in the Indian state of Uttarakhand. The Prime Minister said that the success of the rescue operation of trapped workers in Uttarkashi is making everyone emotional. Prime Minister also stressed that the courage and patience of these workers is inspiring. The PM also wished good health to them. He expressed satisfaction that after a long wait, these friends will now meet their loved ones. Prime Minister Modi also appreciated the courage of their family members in this challenging time. The PM also saluted the spirit of all those associated with this rescue operation. Prime Minister Modi said that their bravery and determination have given new life to the workers. He said that everyone involved in this mission has set a good example of humanity and teamwork. And India's Home Minister Amit Shah also reacted to the successful tunnel rescue of 41 workers. He posted on X, and I quote again, "It is great news for the nation that all 41 Shramik brothers trapped in a tunnel in Uttarkashi have been rescued safe and sound. The nation salutes their grit in facing such a challenging situation in the tunnel for so long. My heartfelt gratitude to all the people and the agencies that have made tireless efforts to save the lives of our fellow citizens." Unquote. And India's Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari spoke to the media and expressed happiness at the successful rescue mission whereby all workers were safely evacuated.
मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि सिलकियारा टनल के हादसे के कारण जो 41 मजदूर फंसे हुए थे वो बाहर निकले और उनकी जान बची है। सभी एजेंसियों ने विशेष रूप से पीएमओ के मार्गदर्शन में भारत सरकार की सब एजेंसीज, उत्तराखंड सरकार और वहाँ की स्थानिक जनता और सब लोगों ने रात दिन मेहनत की, परिश्रम किए, अलग अलग पर्यायों पर काम किया और उसके बाद ये सफलता मिली है। ये बहुत गहरा संकट था, पहली बार इस प्रकार का अनुभव आया। इन लोगों की जान बची, उन लोगों को मैं बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, शुभेच्छाएं देता हूँ। और इसमें जान बचाने में जिन जिन भारत सरकार की एजेंसियों ने और राज्य सरकार की एजेंसियों ने और सभी हमारे इंजीनियर्स ने रात दिन अपनी जोखिम लेकर जो काम किया है, उन सबको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ, उनके आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। ये घटना ने भी हमको सीखने के लिए बहुत कुछ मिला है। अब हम लोग इसके बारे में टनल का सेफ्टी ऑडिट भी करने वाले हैं और टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ कैसे हम लोग ज़्यादा से अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग कर सकें, ये भी कोशिश करेंगे।
India's Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur also reacted to the successful evacuation of 41 trapped workers in the tunnel. He posted again on X, and I quote, "After over 2 weeks of untiring efforts, our engineer, technicians and staff of the rescue team have safely rescued all 41 people trapped inside an under construction Silkyara Barcode tunnel in Uttarkashi. Concerned with the safety and security of people trapped inside, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was personally monitoring this rescue operation, which was one of the trickiest and difficult ones. But our rescuers overcame all stupendous challenges and ensured a ray of light at the end of the tunnel. Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Singh Dhami left no stone unturned and remained on standby throughout the operation. The ordeal is over now. It's time for the reunion." Later, the rescued workers were taken to a health center for primary medical treatment. DD India's Dibyendu Mondal sent us a report from the medical center where the workers are being kept. In fact, it's a makeshift hospital.
You can see the ambulances, the third set of ambulances is making their way to the Chinalisore Primary Healthcare Center here in Uttarkashi. These ambulances have the workers who have been recently rescued by the rescue workers here at Uttarkashi. These ambulances are carrying the workers who have been recently rescued just a while back. Their health will be monitored here at the Chinalisore Primary Healthcare Center, which has been converted into a makeshift camp. The ambulances, the health of each ambulance also has a doctor who is constantly monitoring the health parameters of all the workers that are coming in. The ambulances are now making their line, in fact, their way into the healthcare center. Earlier before this, we had seen 10 ambulances making their way, and now another set of ambulances have already have gone inside. They are being escorted by a police vehicle, and authorities are making constant effort to ensure ensure the smooth passage of these workers. The workers will now be getting down from here, from the ambulance, and be taken into the makeshift hospital at the Chinalisore Primary Healthcare Center, which has been converted into a makeshift camp. The doctors will be constantly monitoring their health, their important health parameters, and they will be monitored for the next 48 hours. And if any healthcare, if any of the rescued workers' health is found to be in any kind of a complication, they will be taken to Rishikesh by the Indian Air Force. Helicopters put on standby. This is the Divyendu Model with camera person Jagmohan reporting from Uttarakhand for DD India.
And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has also reacted to the successful rescue and said, and I quote on Twitter, "We will leave no stone unturned to protect our own. Heartfelt gratitude to all those who worked tirelessly to rescue those trapped in the tunnel. Commend the grit and determination of those who face such adversity without giving up hope." New Zealand's new government is set to scrap the laws which were introduced by the previous government. The legislation passed last year had been acclaimed internationally with research models backing the key reforms. Measures included restricting the number of tobacco retailers and reducing the level of nicotine in cigarettes. Australia will ban imports of disposable vapes in January to curb nicotine addiction among children. New laws will stop single-use vapes from being made, advertised and supplied in the country. The ban will be expanded in March to include all non-therapeutic vapes, including refillable devices. In Sierra Leone, at least 20 people were killed and nearly 2,000 inmates escaped during Sunday's attack on military barracks, a prison and other locations. The West African country was thrown into panic when the assailants sent gunfire ringing across the capital, Freetown. The government later informed that the attacks had been dealt with. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live, 48-hour extended truce between Israel and Hamas ends on Wednesday. NATO foreign ministers meeting in Brussels pledged to keep extending support to Ukraine in its counter-offensive against Russia. And North Korea faces severe condemnation for spy satellite launch at the UN Security Council.
Always welcoming. The vibe of Punjab is larger than life. Warm up to grandeur that's beyond compare. And history that's dotted with tales of bravery. Smiling soul of India. The music, art, cuisine, and culture comes together to create an unforgettable impression. Punjab is all set to fill your hearts with its unique and colorful extravaganza.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the 48-hour extended truce between Israel and Hamas ends on Wednesday. Qatar has said it's focused on extending it further beyond Wednesday based on the Hamas's ability to continue releasing 10 hostages per day. Meanwhile, CIA Director William Burns has also reached Qatar for talks over the conflict.
While discussing a common commitment to resolve different issues, the conference of NATO's foreign ministers in Brussels also revolved around the dispute between Israel and Hamas. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Norwegian Foreign Minister Eid in Brussels, says it plays an important role to solve the crisis.
We have a crisis in the Middle East where Norway historically and currently plays a very, very important role. The Arctic Council, where Norway is in the chair, and a variety of other issues as we track together toward the summit next year.
As the temporary ceasefire between Israel and Hamas entered the fifth day after a 48-hour extension was agreed upon, the release of more hostages is expected. Israel has said it would extend the truce by 1 day on the release of every 10 hostages, while Qatar is focused on further extending the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel beyond Wednesday, based on the group's ability to continue releasing 10 hostages per day. Meanwhile, CIA Director William Burns is in Qatar for talks on the conflict.
Regarding what we will be working on in the next 48 hours. So, of course, Andrew, our main focus right now is, and our hope, is to reach a sustainable truce. What we have right now is a provision to the agreement that allows us to extend days as long as Hamas is able to guarantee the release of at least 10 hostages from their side. And therefore, this is what we have at the moment.
Israelis and Palestinians have expressed relief over the continuation of the Israel-Hamas truce, with the majority of Israelis agreeing that the ceasefire is the best course of action for the time being, but not at the expense of Hamas's resurgence.
I'm in the middle because I want the hostages to come home, but I don't want them to give in to Hamas. Personally, I don't like negotiation with enemies, but my heart is also for the hostages.
Meanwhile, hundreds of lorries of humanitarian aid, medical supplies and fuel have been allowed into Gaza, and it will continue for the next 2 days.
11 more hostages have been released by the Hamas, while Qatar announced extension of Gaza truce by 2 more days. Israel says that for every 10 hostages released, it will extend the truce by 1 day.
It was another day of joyous reunion for the families of 11 hostages, with tears of joy rolling down their cheeks as another batch of hostages were released by the Hamas, which includes 9 women and 2 children. These 11 hostages are in stable condition, an Israeli doctor confirmed.
We can say at this point that all our children and mothers are in a stable medical condition, and we will further on continue with medical evaluation.
Israel also shared still photos of 4-year-old Abigail Eden, who was released a day earlier by Hamas in Gaza, sitting with her aunt and her uncle. Friends of children eagerly awaiting their return were happy to welcome them home.
I want the community to return to the way it was, at least part of what it was, and that we will return to being the same community that we always were, that we will always be.
Following the release, Qatar announced the extension of truce between Israel and Hamas in Gaza by 2 days. White House welcomed the decision, with NSA John Kirby announcing the success of Biden's approach.
Of course, we welcome the announcement just a little bit ago, I think the last hour or so, by Qatar, that the humanitarian pause in Gaza, now in its 4th day, will be extended for another 2 days, through Thursday morning Israel time. This humanitarian pause has already brought a halt to the fighting, together with a surge of humanitarian assistance.
Israel said it was ready to extend truce by 1 day for every 10 hostages released by Hamas. For some families, there has been moments of joy. However, many still await release of their nears and dears. One such is Hadas Kaldiron, mother of 2 children who were taken hostage by Hamas. She marked her youngest son's birthday in his absence.
We are celebrating my son Erez, is 12 years old today. We're celebrating his birthday. He loves mountain bike, and his father also is very professional in riding bike. So that's what you see, and I wish he could be here to enjoy with everybody and to feel like a normal boy.
The wait for near and dear ones continue, but for how long will this wait continue remains to be seen.
NATO foreign ministers meeting in Brussels pledged to keep extending support to Ukraine in its counteroffensive against Russia. Take a look.
NATO's foreign ministers gathered in Brussels on Tuesday for a 2-day meeting, their first since the Vilnius summit in the summer. The agenda of the meeting included discussion on situation in Ukraine, among others. The foreign ministers attending the summit pledged their continued support to Ukraine.
La force de notre alliance, elle est dans...
And we continue to stand with Ukraine. Its strategy is the right one. It needs to be reinforced. It needs to be long-term.
C'est une bonne chose, nous nous en réjouissons. C'est une fierté de voir flotter son drapeau.
Russia, which is 3-4 times larger in terms of manpower, in terms of the economy, Ukraine has withstood that, and the Ukrainian people, their heroism and their determination is something that I think those of us outside of Ukraine can only admire.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaffirmed support for Ukraine at the NATO meeting.
We will be strongly reaffirming our support for Ukraine as it continues to face Russia's war of aggression. We will be looking to the summit next year in Washington to celebrate the 75th anniversary of NATO, but not just celebrate that anniversary, continue to carry the alliance forward, including with the commitments that its members are making to our collective defense.
NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg urged members of the alliance on Tuesday to continue supporting Ukraine.
It's our obligation to ensure that we provide Ukraine with the weapons they need, because it will be a tragedy for the Ukrainians if President Putin wins, but it will also be dangerous for us, because then the message to all authoritarian leaders, not only in Moscow but also in Beijing, is that when they violate international law, when they invade another country, when they use force, they get what they want.
Speaking to German Parliament, Chancellor Olaf Scholz renewed his country's support for Ukraine in its war against Russia.
It's clear that we must under no circumstances diminish our support for Ukraine or our efforts in overcoming the energy crisis. It would be irresponsible and it would endanger our future. At the same time, it would be a grave and unforgivable mistake to neglect the modernization of our country in the face of all these acute challenges.
On the background, Russian forces are intensifying their drive to capture the eastern Ukrainian town of Avdiivka. Much of the fighting has focused on the industrial zone and the coking plant. Mihir Maikuri reporting for DD India.
Launched last week after several unsuccessful attempts, North Korea's spy satellite has delivered images of the White House, Pentagon and U.S. aircraft carriers to its leader Kim Jong-un. It faced severe condemnation for the launch at the United Nations Security Council meet on Monday for violating UNSC resolutions banning its use of any ballistic technology. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak cancelled his meeting with his Greek counterpart Kyriakos Mitsotakis on Tuesday. The Greek Prime Minister has accused Rishi Sunak of abruptly cancelling a planned meeting in London on the return of the Parthenon marbles to Greece. The Parthenon sculptures now form a part of the British Museum's collection and have long been demanded by the Greeks to complete their series at Athens' Acropolis Museum. The Greek PM questioned the ownership of the sculptures. India's Minister for Women and Child Development and Minority Affairs, Smriti Subin Irani, launched a guide on gender-inclusive communication in the national capital on Tuesday. The government aims to make it an integral part of everyday administrative outreach to citizens and also focus on institutionalizing a gender-just administrative framework. DD India's Jessica Taneja caught up with the minister on the sidelines of the launch event. Take a look.
Firstly, congratulations on this wonderful initiative, a program being brought in for gender-inclusive communication. What was the aim behind it? And as your colleagues, we heard this was a really comprehensive task involving a lot of stakeholders.
I think that when the Prime Minister speaks of women-led development, he's also insistent on ensuring that the language of power is embellished with empathy and words which pronounce gender justice, especially when administrators engage with citizens at large. We need to be mindful of how language impacts not only local communities but also administrative frameworks. So in collaboration with Labasna, which is a premium training institution for officers across the country, this becomes a guide for many of us to follow. I'm extremely even buoyant about the fact that there are many officers who will come through for mid-career training, and these are the officers who will need that kind of guidance in their everyday usage of language. So this is the first ever in our country, and UN Women makes me believe that this is the first ever initiative done anywhere in the world.
Right. And just one small example before we let you go, one small example where you think it could be more effective beyond, of course, the administrative services, as you say.
I think that when you have leadership which is administrative in nature, they also help percolate not only policies, not only budgets, but also how communities view women. So my belief is that if you look at the 15th Finance Commission and how gender-based tied funds were percolated across our systems, how does administrative response also reflect the same vision of the Prime Minister, I think has become the cornerstone for this particular guide.
Thank you for speaking to DD India. That was the Union Minister for Women and Child Development and Minority Affairs, Smriti Irani, launching this guide on gender-inclusive communications today here in New Delhi. This is Jessica Taneja, with journalist Ajit for DD India in New Delhi.
The 54th edition of the International Film Festival of India concluded in the coastal state of Goa. At the closing ceremony, the best awards in several categories, including the prestigious Golden Peacock, was announced.
The 54th edition of International Film Festival of India concluded today. India's Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Anurag Singh Thakur, said that the 54th edition of International Film Festival of India was a celebration of unity and diversity, embodying the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, bringing together creative minds, filmmakers, cinema lovers and cultural enthusiasts from across the globe.
The diversity showcased at the festival is the living embodiment of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, that brought together creative thinkers, filmmakers, cinema lovers and cultural enthusiasts from all over the world under one roof.
The closing ceremony was held at Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Indoor Stadium. It was also addressed by the Chief Minister of Goa.
This year's festival showcased the 270 films from 78 countries, and we saw some of the spectacular premieres. As we bid farewell to this vibrant festival, I am overwhelmed by this response it is received.
Hollywood actor and producer Michael Douglas was honored with the prestigious Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award for excellence in cinema. Douglas said that cinema has the power to unite and transform the people with cross-cultural artistic expressions.
This festival is a reminder of the magic of movie making. When you've worked in the movie business for as long as I have, it becomes clear that cinema is one of the few mediums that has the power to unite and transform us. It transcends divisions, whether that be geography, race, language, or even time.
India,
मैं आपसे
बहुत
प्यार
करता हूँ. That's amazing.
The coveted Golden Peacock for Best Film was conferred upon the Persian masterpiece Endless Borders, directed by Abbas Amini. Bulgarian director Stefan Komandarev received the Silver Peacock for Best Director for Bulgar's Lessons. Pooria Rahimi Sam is honoured with Silver Peacock for Best Actor in the male category for his nuanced and rich acting in the movie Endless Borders. Milani Thierry has also been awarded Silver Peacock Award for Best Actor in the female category for his seamless expressions of a wide spectrum of emotions in Party of Fools. Indian filmmaker Rishabh Shetty also bagged the Special Jury Award for Kantara, the film which explores the ideological conflict between humans and nature. Raghir Azad Kaya also received an award for the best debut feature film, where the movie directed was When the Seedlings Grow.
So the 9 days of fiesta, the festivities and everything cinema, everything entertainment comes to an end. We are here at the coastal state of Goa, cherishing all that has happened during the last 9 days. We all look forward to the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India. Shama Mishra, DD India, Goa.
And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news and updates as they break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and for all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.